So my name is Jeff Foster, and I am here representing San Diego Zoo Global. And there's a bunch of people that are right now saying, how is a zoo doing lean, right? So well, I'm here to tell you a little bit about that. As I was choosing my topic for this evening, I realized that what I'm going to talk to you about is actually not related to a zoo at all. It just so happens that that's where I work. So these are some of our brands. We run 3 facilities in Southern California. We have 28 facilities around the world. So just to give you an idea, here's some of the work we do. It's all animal related. There's a surprise, right? So a little bit more about me. I don't know if any of you recognize that org chart on the right-hand side, right? That's where I live. I live a little bit outside of the realm of the rest of the organization. I report into the C-suite, and I help the organization to see better ways of doing business, right? But what I want to talk about tonight is I want to talk about leadership. So one of the projects I'm currently working on is working with our animal welfare group to standardize our animal welfare care, right? And that's something that we're working on with a number of other zoos in the world. But what is funny about that is that the topic in the meeting that I was in on Friday before coming here, right, was about leadership, right? And so we talked a lot about influence and control, right? So as a leader, sometimes we mistake control and influence, right? So we're always trying to increase our sphere of influence because, for instance, for us, right, it's hard to measure our product from an animal welfare standpoint, right? It's hard for us to talk about metrics in our organization from a conservation standpoint, right? So our core focus is passion, right? And the only way that you can help move forward and make progress, right, is through influence, right? Because I don't tell you what you do and you don't tell me what I do, and that's kind of how we work together. We just love animals together. So we were talking a lot about influence and control, and we started to delve into the difference between them, right? So this was a funny sign that they put up, and I appreciated the reference. More importantly, you know, in my world, we can't actually have a conversation unless it has animals in it, just the way we are. So I brought a small video to show you that I'm sure most of you will relate to.
Would you just shut up? You rats with wings.
This bloke's been looking for his boy Nemo.
Nemo?
He was taken off the reef by divers, and this...
They're taking it, Harry! Hey, say that again. You just said something about Nemo. What was it?
So what I like about this video is this is very representative of our leaders in our organization. We're a 100-year-old organization, right? We're 100 years old. We've been doing things for the same way for a very long time. I know all of you have heard that before, but our leaders are a lot like this, right? Mind, silos, about control, all about control. So what I want to talk about is a little bit more about influence and about leadership and about how, as a leader, you need to be influencing those around you, right? It's not about leading, it's about influencing, right? It's influencing your people to learn how to be problem solvers. It's influencing your bosses and your supervisors to be thoughtful leaders in the sense that, you know, as it was mentioned earlier today, if you make a decision, you're taking away the opportunity for somebody else to learn. So it's all about influence for us and giving up the control. I like to stick with words like influence and facilitate. Those are things that I say often in my role. I stay away from things like authority and control because they have a negative connotation. There's no surprise in that, but you'd be surprised how it comes across in perception, right? Message is a two-way street, right? It's how it's delivered and it's how it's received. So I try to stick with positive words, right? It's about influence and it's about facilitation. I want to help us get over the hurdle that is keeping us from making progress. So some of the key leadership concepts that I preach in my organization, and I ask the leaders that I work with to also preach, is not to solution jump, right? Never ever offer suggested possible changes or solutions. Just don't do it. It's so much easier if they come to that solution on their own. The influence and the learning in that builds trust, and the trust it allows you to build momentum, right? It allows your organization to build momentum. I regularly ask for feedback. At the end, I'll ask for any suggestions after this. You're more than welcome to come up and tell me what you liked or didn't like. I'm always interested in learning that. Flexible interpersonal skills are definitely critical. So some of my leadership plan includes a lot of the things that if you've been to previous summits, you may have seen before. Questions like what do we know and how do we know it? What do we need to know and where will we get it? The purpose, right? What is the purpose? I like to think of myself as a jack of all trades and a master of none because I'm kind of, I have to be involved in a number of things in the organization, whether it's from administrative duties to animal welfare and animal health and animal husbandry. So there's a lot of things to have my hands in that I have to have a high level of influence, right? Because I have no control over any of these things. I'm not a veterinarian. I'm not an accountant. So it's important that I'm able to speak the language, but that I don't really know much. So for the leadership attributes that we preach in the organization is transparent communication, breaking down the silos, stay open-minded, and stick with a true north. So that transparent communication I put as number one on purpose. It's critically important as a leader in your organization that you can speak as transparently as possible, right? Because as a leader, you're already 1 foot lower, right? 1 foot in the hole, right? Because there's somebody who is in that conversation with you that has already labeled you and provided some sort of a mental note that says, oh, he's the manager, director, he's the boss, right? And that's automatically started to close their mind. So transparent communication is critical. I put this one in here just because I want to speak to it. It's an awareness thing. There, I believe, are 3 levels of change that people in my organization go through. It involves the comfort zone, the challenge zone, and the fear zone. Sometimes knowing these zones helps you, from an influence standpoint, helps you push people one way or the other, right? It helps drive the conversation, if you will, one way or the other. Right? And that helps you to get a point across. It helps you to make progress. Maybe it helps you to clarify a subject. So, I know this slide has a lot of words on it. What I want you to take away from it is the pictures. So this is one of our elephant enclosures. We are constantly, our leaders are constantly supporting the PDCA cycle with our process owners. What you see here is on the bottom, if you can see it, it's an enrichment tool that we use for the elephants. They like to be able to reach up, right? What we learned from observation is that we could make it better. The top picture is just a little bit better model of the same thing, but this one turns and does a number of other things that allows a little more intellectual stimulation for the elephants. This is another example of influence, if you will, right? So our process owners in this is a different elephant enclosure, but our process owners here, we have an elephant that has some foot sores, okay? Those sores require a daily washing out, right? Our vets, we're going over there once a day for 10 minutes, reaching through the enclosure and washing out the elephant's foot. We're training the elephant to lift its foot so that we could wash out. Okay, that's great, right? But our process owners kept saying, hey, listen, you guys are doing it the hard way. We need to do something different. We could just cut a hole in the side of the fence and we can train them to stick their foot through and you guys could work on it all day, right? Our vets, no, we don't need that. No, we don't need that. Well, I brought it to my attention, right? And the short story is we cut a hole in the fence and the elephant sticks his foot through every day and we're able to clean it, no problem. Absolutely no problem, right? So you need to be aware also, though, in influence, you need to be aware of some of the pitfalls, right? So you need to make sure that you're not presenting your own opinion. I always trust the process owner over the manager. The process owner knows the process better than anybody else, always. I don't care how long you've been doing this. I don't care how well you think you know it. I assure you, your process owners know it better. Results are not always as valuable as the change management piece of that, and patience, right? The one thing I've learned in my career has been patience. So in summary, influence without authority, Choose your words wisely, use the art of communication, right, to break down silos and be transparent, and support all change regardless of the success. That's it. Thank you.